You might be asking yourself, why do I want to teach sign language? Why do I want to use sign language? Well, when it comes to special education, there are many kids that might need sign language to be able to communicate at a deeper level with you, or just need that outlet as far as a way to communicate with you. And so, learning sign language will provide options for your children or students to be able to communicate with you or others in the community, which can also lead to reduced frustration because they are able to express their needs and their wants, whether it's something that they need or want that's basic, or maybe they can learn more signs in the future to be able to communicate on a deeper level with things that they desire or need. And so, in turn, that gives them that comfort, support, the confidence to be able to thrive as a human being, whether it's in your classroom or at home or in the community. That's one more step toward independence, is just them being able to communicate with anybody around them. Another reason why you might want to use you might want to use sign language with special education or students with special needs is to be able to provide an inclusive environment. So you might have students in your classroom, or your children might have friends who use sign language to communicate, or maybe your own child uses sign language to communicate or needs to. And so other people learning the language can help to provide an inclusive environment where the child does not feel singled out, where they notice that other people and children are trying to learn the language too, to be able to communicate with them so that they feel like they're a part of the community in the classroom, at home, or just anywhere out in public as well. You would be surprised at how many people are just so fascinated with sign language, as I'm sure you are as well, and that really do want to learn. And if they do know something in sign language, they will definitely try to communicate with you if you are using that language out. Another reason is to use sign language is to stimulate the mind and learning with children. So we all know that children are like sponges and that they learn things and can pick up on things pretty quickly, especially when it's associated with rewards. So teaching your children sign language or your students sign language can help to stimulate their minds, the curiosity, the those neurons that are going off in the brains when you're learning something new and associating it with something that's an object or a reward. So just learning a new language is always beneficial for anybody. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk briefly about is another reason why you might want to learn sign language or teach your children sign language is to reduce undesired behaviors. So we know that if children with special needs or typical developing children cannot communicate, they will become very frustrated. They might act out, have tantrums, or have undesired behaviors that you don't want to see, whether it's in your home, in the classroom, out in public, around other family members. So that, to me, as far as special education goes, in order to get the behaviors that you want, you have to allow the students to have ways to communicate with you. And sign language can definitely be one of those. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my experience with special needs and growing up as a caregiver. And people in my family also had special needs. So I wanted to just talk to you about that a little bit and how everything has come together to what it is today. So wanted to also let you know that all of these videos related to special needs are just based on my experience. And so I want to share with you what my experience is, my expertise working with students with special needs, and hopefully you guys can take something away from that and apply it to your own family, your own classroom, your own lives, your children's lives, or any other loved ones that you may have that you can apply some of these strategies to. So growing up, both of my parents were deaf, so I had to learn sign language from a very young age and did a lot of things to help them out growing up. So back when I was born in 1983, there was not a lot of technology out there that we have nowadays with texting and different things with devices that can help people and assist people with disabilities that are deaf or hard of hearing. And so back then, I had to start from a very early age of being a caregiver and helping my parents, making phone calls, ordering things at restaurants. And you can even imagine all of the aspects where we have to communicate with people. I had to help them with those things growing up. And so later in life, when I was about 7 years old, I had a brother that was born. My brother was also born hearing, but he ended up having a lot of medical needs and also had an IEP in school. And he passed away when he was 26. So just going through that as well with my family and helping them to cope and going through that as a caregiver has really been a tremendous amount of experience and knowledge that I have now that I can hopefully help you guys with as well. So when I was growing up, as you know, I was a caregiver and working with my parents and family to help them out, right? And so when I was a senior in high school, our class volunteered at a all special ed school here in Memphis. And when I volunteered that day, I fell in love with the idea of working with other kids with special needs. It was almost like I was destined to just be a caregiver and work in this field. I love it so much. And so fell in love with that. I knew I wanted to do something with that with my life, but I wasn't sure yet. You know, when you're a senior in high school, you just don't know what your future holds or what you even really want to do. So I started out in college just taking some general ed courses and eventually decided that I wanted to become a special ed teacher. So I went that route, got my bachelor's in education, being able to teach both general education and special education as a dual certified teacher. Then I went on to get my master's and eventually my doctorate in special education from the University of Memphis. And so throughout my years of teaching, I have taught elementary, middle, and high school special education. I've taught general education and am also certified to teach deaf and hard of hearing students. And I have experience with that as well. And so that was really fun to be able to do that, to apply just my knowledge of sign language and special education to that teaching experience was just amazing. So during my time that I was teaching special education, I began using signs or hand gestures, things like that, to communicate with some of the children in my classroom because I noticed that they were getting frustrated because they were not able to communicate. There were barriers between us because they were nonverbal. Many of my students that I worked with were diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and had difficulties in that area of communication. So I started modifying some behaviors through reward, punishment, and things like that in combination with hand signals, whether it was just pointing or being able to like go through things like in your head, like associate pointing or visuals with the directions that I was given, and then rewarding them whenever they had the behaviors that were desired. And so through that experience, I wanted to be able to apply it in another way, which is what I'm doing now. And so I want to share with you guys that experience that I've had, things that I did, things that you can do in your own home or classroom. And so this is why I founded Sign Tribe. When communicating through expressions such as facial expressions or body language, your child can really be telling you a lot. So even if your child has not picked up on sign language yet, you can definitely watch their body and facial expressions to see whether it's a negative or positive response. And so you can take those opportunities if you're teaching yes, no. You can take those responses that they're giving you through their nonverbal communication and try to teach them simple words that way as well. So when you are trying to ask them to do something or give them something to eat and they kind of do this or, do this, they're telling you no. So you might want to show them no, when they do that, and try to see if they can pick up on that as well. So if you feel like your child's not really learning sign language, don't get discouraged. Keep showing them through repetition, and through like micro, like mini lessons. And then also keep a good eye on their facial and body expressions, because they are telling you a lot with just that. So if you notice things, try to respond in different ways, and just kind of watch them and see what they're trying to tell you. I feel like when I was teaching special education, I had students with severe to moderate disabilities, and many of them did have autism and were nonverbal. And so I felt like, because I grew up with both parents being deaf and being very cued in on facial and body expressions, that I was able to work really well with the students that had autism, because much of their communication is nonverbal, and with facial expressions and body language, they can really tell you a lot. So you might just want to take a minute to just see what they're doing, how they're reacting in their face and their body, and just notice and see if they're trying to communicate with you that way as well. So don't forget that facial and body expressions are also a form of communications, and try to take notice and see if you notice anything new. So in this video, I wanted to talk to you about modified sign language. So the word modified means to change, so something that's different than the original. So when you're teaching your child or student sign language, you might see that they're actually giving back to you modified signs. So as long as you can understand what they're trying to communicate to you and they're attempting to communicate, that's what's important. I wouldn't focus a whole lot on whether the sign looks just right or if it's perfect. It's more about the idea that the child is learning how to communicate and is utilizing those skills that you are teaching him or her. So some of the modified signs that you might see for basic needs or wants, I have a list here that I'm going to show you what you might see when you're teaching sign language. So the sign for bathroom is a T, back and forth. So you might see the child sign it like this, or maybe make a fist and do something like this, or make an A and do this. Those might be some modified signs that you can use, or even teach them if they have difficulty with their fine motor skills in making a T like this. Another one is the sign for more. So more, you just put your fingers together like this and then tap them together. More. So you might have a child who just is not able to do this with their hands just yet, whether they're too young or have difficulty with some of their fine motor skills. You might see them just do this, or maybe clap for something more, okay? Eat. So you close your fingers together and then do them to your mouth like this, eat. So they might just do this and tap their mouth, or tap their mouth with their finger. Those are all great. And then drink. So they might do something like this. If they have difficulty making a C, doing this for drink, they might just do this, or have their hand in front of them and kind of flip it up like that. You might see that for drink. And then finish or done. This is the correct way to sign it, but they might just do something like this where they're flapping a little bit for done. And then the last one that I'm going to show you is hurt. So you have your two pointer fingers together, hurt. They might just do something like this, or like this for hurt. So you'll just have to learn what they're trying to tell you and teaching them the signs, and then learning how they're responding to you in that way. And you may not teach your child all those signs, but those are some basic like needs and wants that you may start out with. And so just observe what your child is signing or what they're trying to say, and then just keep practicing, showing them the right way, and then helping them to modify as needed. So remember that modified signs are not bad, they're not wrong. It's just another way that they're trying to communicate with you, and it's okay if it's not perfect. So when we're thinking about reducing undesired behaviors, we think about communication barriers as well, because communication barriers are a huge factor to behaviors that are undesired, because the children are trying to communicate with you what they don't want or what they want by acting out. And so learning sign language to reduce undesired behaviors is one of those things that we can do. And so when you want to find ways to help children communicate, why would you not want to try sign language? At least try it to see if that's going to be a method that works for you. It may or may not work, but it will give the child an option as far as how to communicate with you or in their classroom or with other people in your family or community. And so when we teach sign language to reduce undesired behaviors, we want to use some behavior modification strategies. And so when it comes to behavior modification, we typically like to utilize the reward and punishment in order to teach the children what we're looking for from them. So without getting too technical about it, one of the things that you can do that's fairly simple is to show them a sign. So like for more, okay? If they're wanting more snacks, more goldfish, more crayons, more anything, they might yell, they might scream, they might hit somebody else. And so in order to help cut those behaviors down and to reduce them and hopefully eliminate them, you can teach them how to ask for more in a more positive way and more acceptable way than some of the other ways that they are using currently to show you what they want by acting out. And so whenever you know that the child wants more of something, and let's say it's goldfish and they're having snack, you have the goldfish with you, okay? And so they're done eating their goldfish. Maybe you just give them a few, like 5 or 6 pieces. And then they start reaching for more or scream, show them more. And then show them the goldfish, more. Like, do you want more? Show them the goldfish, you want more? And perhaps during that time, they will clap their hands together like this or try to do this. So you give them a few goldfish, they want more, they're screaming, and you say, no, more, then yes, and then you give them more goldfish. And you want to just start doing little like bite-sized, like micro lessons with them on using sign language to communicate. And you just want to start with the basic words. So like more, yes or no, things like that. So the key here, though, in order to change the undesired behaviors to desired behaviors, is going to be patience and also consistency. So make sure that every day when you have snack, you do the same thing. Have them ask for more, and you immediately give them what they are asking more of, whether it's snacks or something else. So that's just a little tidbit of information there on how you can work toward improving undesired behaviors, and hopefully you'll be able to see results soon once you start being consistent with that and focusing your time on improving just one behavior at a time. Wanted to share a tip with you today on rewarding desired behaviors. So when you reward desired behaviors, you want to make sure that you reward the child immediately, so that way they associate that reward with the positive behavior. So whether you're working on just behaviors in general or signing, you can use this technique as well. If you're teaching your child how to sign more, if they want something more to eat or drink, and they just clap or go that, something like this, or even sign more the right way. As long as they're making that movement and effort to request more of something, immediately reward that behavior with whatever it is they're asking more of. So the more consistent and often that you're able to reward that positive behavior that you're looking for, the quicker your results will be. And so one of the strategies that you can use is to use a picture book and to teach the signs for those words that are in the picture book. So for example, if you have an alphabet book that has corresponding photos or pictures, for apple, you could show them the picture in the book of apple and show them the sign, apple, apple, while showing them the picture. So they're getting a visual representation along with the sign and hearing you say it if they can hear. Now, when they attempt to sign apple, it may not look like the way that you sign apple, but just keep reinforcing that sign. Them learning sign language can also help with fine motor skills or gross motor skills as well. So keep that in mind when you're teaching sign language, the specific needs of the students and also what their limitations might be, and helping them out and guiding them as much as you need to. Another way is to show the object. So if you're giving them an orange and it's time for snack and they're going to eat an orange, show them the orange, orange, orange. So that's another way to show a visual representation. You've got books, you've got the actual objects themselves, so that way they can see it and associate it with the sign of whatever it is that you're trying to teach them. Another way is to just start with a few of the essential signs. So you may not want to teach them all the foods, but if they always eat cereal, you can teach them cereal, cereal, and show them the cereal or the cereal that's in the baggie or the box or a picture of it. Just pick and choose signs that you feel like are most functional for you and the student to be able to communicate their wants and needs. So for some people, cereal may not be relevant because their child does not eat cereal and maybe they prefer apples. So they're going to focus more on that. And so there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to which signs that you're going to be teaching. It's just a matter of what is going to be the most functional and beneficial for that child. And also remember that you're going to have to do a lot of repetition for teaching sign language. So you are going to learn the sign yourself and then teach the child sign language in different situations. So you may teach them apple at breakfast, and then you might show them that same sign during snack time or dinner. So find time throughout the day when they are actually exposed to that item or the picture of it, and just take time throughout the day and be patient with it, and just that repetition and routine that you build in with it will help to support their interest, because if they're not interested in learning the sign and it's not relevant to them, there's no motivation to learn and no desire from the student as well. So keep those things in mind. And they've got to have some successes in order to feel like they're accomplishing something, they're getting it right. So if you show them the sign for apple in a picture and it's not like snack time, they're not going to actually eat one, but you show them a picture and you sign apple and they actually sign apple back to you when they see the picture, at least give them a verbal praise. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Great job. Or you can provide a tangible reward, such as an apple, like a piece of an apple, or something else that you are trying to teach them or that you want them to have as a reward for that. So just keep those things in mind when you're teaching sign language, that you want to show them a picture or show them the object so that they can have a visual representation, and teach them signs that are absolutely necessary first for their needs and wants to help with those communication barriers that they have up right now, so that they can start coming down and you can have a better relationship and understand what your child wants even more. And then just that, again, just the repetition, the patience of it, and consistency. So try out some of those methods and see what works for you. And I hope that you have much success with it. When it comes to teaching your child sign language, I don't feel like there's really a right or a wrong way to do it. However, I do believe teaching your child sign language in little micro, like mini lessons, is going to be the best strategy as far as your success in the long run. So when I say bite-sized mini or micro lessons, I mean teaching them a sign at a time and focusing on that one sign, maybe for that day or for that week or just for that hour of the day. I think overloading some of our kids with a lot of different signs might be overwhelming to them. So I would definitely space things out. Your child might be okay with you exposing them to 5 different signs a day, and they're fine with that. But you might have a child who just doesn't seem to really respond to that, so you might want to just try 2 basic signs a day. And so, what we want to do is you might want to even set up situations at your house or in your classroom where you are needing to communicate with them in sign language and you're wanting them to learn that word. So, for instance, during snack time, you might want to teach them apple and more. So, if you're wanting to work on both of those signs during snack time, what you can do is show them those slices of apple or pieces of apple and say apple, apple. And then once they respond to you in a certain way, then you say, yeah, apple, and give them a piece or two and allow them to enjoy some of their snack. Then if they want more, when you notice that they're done, you can say more, more, do you want more? Saying things in different ways to get them to respond. Then once they show you more, then that's when you give them more. So you might even want to set up scenarios, at home to be able to work with your child and train them to communicate with you in sign language. And I think that, picking some functional signs that you guys use every day at home is the best route to go to begin with, to start your little mini and micro lessons when you work with your child. Once they learn those functional signs that you're starting out with, then I would definitely build and add more to your child's vocabulary. I would say one thing is just don't ever underestimate them, because you never know what they're going to pick up, what they're going to learn. And your child might really enjoy communicating in sign language as an outlet to be able to express what they want and they need. So again, just remember, don't rush through it. Let's just focus on a few things at a time. If you're stressed out, your child's going to be stressed out. So just focus on a few functional signs at a time and just teach them in short spans so that they can get exposure throughout the day.